All right, so we are live. We're hearing that Tesla FSD V14 is going wide, and what that means is that Bradford and I still don't have it. So we brought JC in to share some of his experiences. We'll talk about that. We'll do a little Tesla earnings preview. But first and foremost, JC, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, Matt. Great to see you in Bradford again.
Great to see you, although unfortunately not in person this time. I'd love to be sitting there in the car with you and kind of experiencing what you're experiencing. We were just talking a little bit about your experiences with V14. Why don't we just hit it off the bat? Tell us what version you're running, what your kind of first experiences have been with this latest build, and we'll take it from there.
Absolutely. So I'm running version 14.1.3. So I believe I haven't been on X today, but I don't think they've released anything since then. So it's the latest version that's out there for customers, for ordinary dudes like me. I just got it yesterday. I literally had an Uber passenger in the back when the orange arrow came up. so, um, yeah, I waited till I got home, dropped off that Uber passenger. I had one more pickup I already had in the hopper, so I did that. Got home, got it downloaded. It took a good 2 hours to download it. It was, so I did it over my home Wi-Fi, which is pretty good, and it took about 2 hours. Got it downloaded and immediately got on the streets and went out there for a couple hours last night. And I drove. So granted, my first taste of it was from 9:15 to 11:15 in the evening and here in Houston. So kind of a little bit later, than you would normally want to see testing. But took it all around Porter Kingwood, which is an area about 30 miles northeast of downtown Houston. Got on the highway, spent 30 miles on the highway into downtown Houston, and used Mad Max the entire.
Let's pause there. Tell us how it feels on the highway.
Man, to put it into words. So I used Mad Max the entire way, except for one time, and a funny story on the way back, but on the way into downtown, I used Mad Max mode the entire way. Bradford, I felt like if there wasn't a governor of 85 miles per hour, it would have just blown past. I mean, it literally felt like 85 was holding it back. The other thing I mentioned that was kind of funny is it definitely does not camp out in the left lane on Mad Max. It barely spends any time in the left lane because
you want to hide. Like, once you pass someone, if you're going fast, you want to hide, right?
and it's just getting to the path of least resistance. I said at one point, I felt like this thing was going to get off the highway onto the feeder to get around the slower traffic. It is very aggressive. It is very, very aggressive. What I would tell you is I never once felt unsafe, but I did acknowledge that there's going to be a fairly sizable part of our community that may not feel ultimately comfortable with Mad Max. But I did say try it one time, because I do think it's just good to experience it. I think folks that are normally in the hurry mode on FSD will never be in the hurry mode again. They will never, ever. They'll be on Mad Max the whole time. There's definitely a tangible difference between hurry and Mad Max.
So did you try the latest hurry mode out on this trip? Because one of my problems with our hurry mode on my current version, which is not V14, is that it'll just camp out in the left lane, like you said. So even though it'll be perfectly like clear in the middle lane or in the right lane, it just camps there. And I'm like, all right, well, that's not appropriate. You should really be getting over. So I'm curious what other differences, if any, you've seen on hurry mode.
Yeah. So interestingly, I was on the way back from downtown after doing some testing there and heading back home. There was one of Houston's finest was on the highway. So I am not willing to test that the maximum, the max, Mad Max mode with a police officer around. So I did actually go through each of the settings, Matt. So what I can tell you is when I saw the police officer, and a good distance, pretty good distance ahead. I dropped it immediately down to sloth. Just and I was like, well, you know what? Since we're doing this, let's see what all the modes do. What I can tell you is sloth is going to cause accidents in Houston, Texas. Do not, if you are in Houston, Texas on East Tex Freeway or 45 North, or it's sloth hits the speed limit and does not go above it. And so you can imagine there are some locations where if you go the speed limit on the dot, it's not good. So I recognized that pretty quickly, that it was just going to stick to it. It was going to get in the right lane. So if you want to be in the right lane and not go a mile per hour faster than the speed limit, sloth mode is for you. I put it up to chill, and it only went up to 2 to 3 miles above the speed limit and stayed in the right lane as well. So I did not notice a ton of difference between chill and sloth mode, maybe 2 to 3 miles per hour. Then I went to standard, and standard went maybe 7 or 8 miles above and kind of stayed in those right 2 lanes. So I put it in hurry, and what I have found is hurry mode is the Texas deputy sheriff's and Houston police officer mode. If you are in hurry mode in Houston, Texas, you're going to be fine, because it basically stayed with traffic, did not camp out in the left lane, and kind of stayed in that next to left lane, or did get over to the left lane a bit. But I did not notice it camping out and I would say it was going about 12 to 15 miles per hour over the speed limit. So again, some of this is going to be geography based. So I'm in Houston, and Houston is definitely kind of more like an LA environment where, you've really got to be kind of, you're going to be fine probably in that 10 to 12 mile per hour over. But I do know there's some geographies where you're gonna get pulled over. I would say chill and standard seem to be kind of right in that anywhere from 2 to 7 or 8 miles per hour over on this version. And then as soon as the police officer got off of the highway, I put it right back in Mad Max, and bam, it pegged it at 85, and we were off. And there was a period of time there, Matt, I don't think I ever saw the left lane, because it's not looking for the left lane. It's looking for whatever is the path of least resistance.
So, JC, I'd like to reset context, and I think maybe there's some people who don't know. So, on version 13, once you got 13, you have been hardcore Uber driving on version 13 and a Model 3 in and around Houston primarily. And so hardcore that you racked up more miles by far, probably than nearly anyone else, even Omar, which is pretty shocking. Could you just tell us a little bit about that, and then maybe talk a little bit about the differences you're seeing in the city so far between version 13 and 14?
Yeah. So that's thanks, Bradford. And yeah, I've done about a little bit over 1,200 Uber rides here in Houston, and a little bit of the Austin area over the last 5 months since I started doing Uber. And it's all been on version 13.2.9. And what I would tell you, Bradford, is it's been great. Like, that was one of the things. I've done 13.2.9 so much because of Uber. I was actually starting to scratch my head, like, what is there going to be about version 14 that's going to be any different in my day-to-day, right? Because I have intervention-free drives. I have not had a critical intervention while doing Uber, ever. I do have navigational non-critical interventions, right, where the mapping data is off. That's something that I've seen. So I have had one example on version 14 where I saw it do something very different with the mapping data than I would normally see with version 13.2.9. I have not done Uber on version 14 yet, because I wanted about 2 or 3 days just to make sure it would be comfortable for a passenger. But one of the things I noticed today, Bradford, is I had a destination set in my navigation, I found out that it was the wrong destination. The car was taking me to a Kroger that was on the opposite side of town than the one I wanted to go to. So I quickly exited out of it. Well, we all know what can happen when you exit out of. Sometimes the navigation will change to your next destination, but the car won't. Right? I still had the it still had the left blinker on to get into the left turning lane, but the destination I needed to go to now needed to go to the right. I will tell you, on 13.2.9, what it would normally have done is try to fight its way back over into the over to the right, right?
Yeah.
Do something maybe not dangerous, but just uncomfortable. 14.1.3 just took the L. It just took the L. So I got it into the left lane with a left blinker. I exited out of that destination. Now we need to go to the right. So I'm sitting there going like, oh man, what did I do here? So what it did is it went ahead and turned left, and it went down a mile, did a U-turn, and got back on our merry way. It was my fault, but we took the L. And
that does seem to be one of the big improvements with V14. I mean, I've seen this in multiple situations where maybe something on V14 it sees that it's supposed to go straight, but there's a bunch of bicyclists or something or a train, and so it will reroute itself. It will disregard the navigation because it's seeing I'm right here right now, and I can't scoot over 5 lanes, or there's some traffic situation that I want to reroute. So it seems to be way more aware of its current situation and able to make those decisions more prudently at the hyper local level in a way that it didn't seem to be able to do with V13. So that's encouraging to hear.
Yeah, Matt, that's exactly what it did. The vision-based system overrode, is that a word? Yeah, overrode the navigation, because the navigation said go right, but the vision-based system was like, well, knucklehead, you just put me in the left lane because of the bad navigation you put in. I've got the left blinker on. So the vision-based system basically said, no, we're going to continue to go left. We're not going to try to cause an accident, and we're going to find a place to do a U-turn. So
let's go back to like some bigger comments. I think we're nerding out a little too much on this specific thing. So sorry to interrupt, JC.
Sorry about that.
So in your post, you had a very glowing post about version 14 so far. You said something like, I hope I'm quoting your post and not someone else, that you feel like it's seeing things 3 to 5 seconds before version 13 would see them. What else? With turning, I think you notice a big difference. So I'm curious if you could talk a bit about version 14 a little more generally.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Bradford. Yeah, it is definitely, at least seems to me, that it is seeing things 3 to 5 seconds sooner and responding to them sooner. So like narrowing lanes, getting over for exits. So like a great example is, I think, something that kind of gets on people's nerves with version 13 is sometimes it will wait until you're about a half mile out to start moving over for an exit, and sometimes miss that. Well, with version 4, every single time when I've had a major intersection through downtown Houston to get like where you need to get over 7 lanes of traffic, it starts about 2 miles out. Mm-hmm. Now it stays in Mad Max mode. It stays true to that Mad Max mode, but it puts that right blinker on about 2 miles out and starts doing its thing, starts making its way over. So, and it's like there's traffic that maybe is about a mile up from me that I'm not even focused on yet, because I'm focused on like what's immediately in front of me. And I'm like, why are we getting back over to the left? And sure enough, about a half mile up, there's something that had I stayed or had we kept moving to the right, we would have gotten stuck there. And so it had already contemplated that, moved around those vehicles, and then made its way back over to the right. So yeah, it seems to be, and I'm, again, Bradford, I apologize. I'm not a software guy or a mechanical engineer. So sometimes I might use terms that don't really protect. But I've been using the term context window. I seem to I hear that term get thrown around, and
Mhm.
so that's the way it feels to me. It's like that window has gotten bigger. Like the amount of data it's able to process, the amount of time it's able to use has definitely expanded.
There's been a lot of discussion around brake stabbing or whatever. Have you experienced any of that?
I
And
wouldn't even. I no.
and the other part was you felt like Mad Max mode, the 85 was like this limiter. Early on with Cybertruck and their lane keeping, their autopilot, it would kind of have like this rolling motion where if you're at the speed limit or whatever, um, it didn't like hold the speed smoothly. It would kind of like rock back and forth a little bit. Um, anything like that, or very smooth?
It's been so smooth, Bradford. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know why it's so much different than for me, because I've got over 100 miles in 2 days now. I mean, I've gone all through Houston. I have not had my brake stabbed one time. It's all been smooth. I can't think of yeah, I'm at a loss for words of that. I wouldn't know because I haven't experienced it. So it'd be kind of interesting to be in the Teslas of the people experiencing the brake stabbing to kind of understand but I haven't experienced it at all. Zero.
Yeah, the way I imagine it, I know I haven't experienced, but I imagine it's like just fluttering a brake where it's like ba 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 like that, where it's like getting cautious. It's seeing something that we're not
Yeah.
feeling threatened by yet, and it's just kind of going. I'm not sure.
Mad Max must be like slapping it away in my
Are
car.
you are you going to unleash this on your Uber customers tonight?
Not tonight. I promised myself I wanted to do 2 to 3 days. So I'm probably going to get back to Uber either tomorrow night or that. But I'm definitely it is absolutely ready for Uber. The question I have in my mind, Bradford, is I'm pretty sure I am never going to put it on Mad Max mode. So I want to enjoy Mad Max a little bit more, because I know as soon as I go on Uber, those days they're gone, right?
Yeah. I think people don't know about Texas highways too. Like they can be fast. Like there's a highway right next to the Tesla factory in Austin where the speed limit, I think, is 80.
Yep.
And most people go 85. They don't necessarily go 10 over, but they're still going like 85. So like it's not unusual to be going 85 on Texas interstates.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would say, Bradford, that the average speed on almost all Texas state highways, both the interstates and the state highways, is probably in that 85 to 90 range. And so,
How can
that's
Tesla
one.
do that? How can they let it go 85? That's just irresponsible and reckless.
Yeah, they don't. These people are either disingenuous or they don't drive, or they live in a place that everybody, I don't know, some faraway unicorn land where they eat Skittles and whatnot. But it's definitely not like the fourth largest city in the country. Yeah, that's why and I was kind of tongue in cheek on it, but a little bit serious. Like, don't do sloth mode on Texas state highways. I would, if somebody's going to say that they don't want, maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but if we're talking about like comfort level and safety, I don't think somebody's going to be comfortable with sloth on 59 East Tex Freeway or that high. Like, imagine going 60 miles an hour on that, or that's the funny thing is, what would sloth do on an 80 or 85 mile per hour highway? So that'd be
I'm guessing it would keep the speed limit, but that'd be good for you to test. I mean,
yeah, that would be good. I may need to get, go definitely by the time I go over to Austin, but I may do that too. I have to go a little bit further north. I'm rural, but I'm not that rural. And so get out there and find some of these. We have a 75 mile an hour one, so I may do that. I may get on Highway 99. The speed limit's 75, and I'll put it in sloth mode there and see what it does in sloth mode at 75.
When you were Ubering before, what mode would you tend to keep it in?
So I would generally stay in chill on Uber, and I will tell you that it definitely, I've never once gotten somebody that's like, well, nobody knows about Tesla that gets into my Uber, right? But I just did not feel comfortable. Like anytime that I forgot it was in hurry mode, I could just kind of, I was like, oh crap, I got to get it back over to chill, because I could tell it was doing some things that might not make the Uber passenger that comfortable. So I've been in chill mode, and that's worked out really good for me. But I will say this, chill mode on 13.2.9 still went a comfortable amount above the speed limit. Like I never felt like chill mode there was like impeding traffic or anything. You're basically going along with traffic on the right side of the freeway. I'm good with that with Uber. Sloth mode, I'm not sure that's going to stay up with traffic. If it's just going to hit the speed limit, it may not stay up with traffic. So I need to do a little bit of testing with that as well. So I probably will stay in the chill mode. I may try standard out just a little bit as well, but chill on 13.2.9 seemed like the perfect mode for doing Uber. Drives me crazy, but you know what? The tips are pretty good. So tips, me being uncomfortable, I'll take the tips every day.
So I'm curious, just in your normal day-to-day drives with these Uber passengers, what's the kind of feedback on the fact that you've got a self-driving car? How many of them are surprised by it? How many of them are intrigued by it? What is the general feedback? And I'm sure it does vary a bit, but if there are maybe some buckets that you're seeing of the different passenger types.
Great question, Matt. And the funny thing is, it doesn't vary at all. Part of it may be it's basically one like, what the, you know what? This is Houston, so you do have to paint it with that picture. Is that this is not one of the most EV central locations on earth, right? I want to say that the EV Tesla penetration in the greater Houston area is still in the low single digits, right? So I get a lot of passengers where it's their first time in a Tesla, let alone experiencing FSD. So I would say that nearly 100% of my passengers, out of all 1,200, 100%, I'm the first time they've ever experienced a full self-driving vehicle of any kind. Granted, now Tesla's really the only generalized one out there, but it's their first time, and they're blown away. And it's not the FUD that you might suspect. Like, it's not like, well, that's fictitious or that's vaporware. It's none of the Tesla Q, Tesla Bear stuff. It's just, they're just not aware. Like they've never even heard of this. And so when they see it and they actually get to experience it, their reaction is like, I had no idea. Like, it's almost like taking the red pill in the Matrix is the best way I can explain it. It's like when you're hit with something that is an objective truth that you never even had a concept for in your head before. It's pretty cool. It's like, it's one of the reasons why I enjoy doing Uber, Bradford and Matt, is because I get to see that 20 to 25 times a day. And it just, it's like, I equated it to somebody. It's obviously not as good as this, but when your child takes their first steps, right? Obviously that is way and above that, but it's pretty doggone close. Like when you're a Tesla nerd like we are, and you get to see somebody's mind just get blown, and they don't have any of the FUD, because we're in a bubble, right? And Tesla Q's in a bubble, so we got a bubble fighting a bubble. So when you break out of that 1% of the world, that's in these two bubbles fighting each other for 16 hours a day, and you get out to the other 99% of the country that just isn't even aware of any of it, to see their eyes go wide and just ask tons of questions. It's so rewarding. It really is. The tips are pretty good too. Don't get me wrong. I do it. I do it for the cash, but that's really one of the most rewarding things. So it's also one of the. And I've talked to Bradford about this before. Um, I, the I don't think there's going to be as much reluctance to driverless robotaxi as a lot of people, especially Tesla Q, wants folks to think that there's going to be. Once somebody experiences it, they're like, yeah, I mean, it's an objective truth. I'm sitting right here. I'm seeing it. So I think it just takes the experience of it, right? And I think we would all agree a lot of the folks that we fight online with, they don't experience it. They don't want to experience it.
So I want to make an extreme comment here. There's a 10x growth in the size of the model. The context window is also much bigger than it was, and maybe 3 times bigger. Also Tesla just had a lot of time between these major versions. So what we saw with version 12 to 13 was a 100x. This has been verified by multiple parties, and I speculated that 14 would be between 100 to 1,000 times better. I know it's hard for you to quantify, but you're talking about version 14 seeing things 3 to 5 seconds before the previous version. It's seeing things before you would, much sooner than you would see it. Do you think it's possible it's between 100 and 1,000 times better? And is it possible we're already at a point where it's 2 times safer than human?
It is definitely safer than a human now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Put 2x or 5x on that. I may need a little bit more time, Bradford, but I will make an even more outrageous comment. What I have seen with the confidence of version 14, I would have no problem getting in the back seat of my Tesla now. I would have not said that even on some earlier versions of version 13, just because of some of the navigational stuff, because I don't want to, go off to another county just to get back, and just keep going in loops. I can see it. With version 14, I can see it that this is going to be unsupervised, that this is going to be like, this is the one. As far as like 10x, 100x, the one thing I would say there is we're also comparing one of the very first instances of version 14 to the last instance of version 13, right? So that's my understanding. And you let me know, Bradford, you know a lot more about this than me. Both of y'all do. But this is like each of the versions, 12, 13, and 14, were each kind of like a cake that took time to bake over a while. So we've literally, with version 14, we just poured the eggs, right? We've basically got the eggs and the milk in a stir. Like, you can tell I don't cook, but
a mixing bowl.
But I can already tell that cake is going to be like a crumble cake versus like your 16-year-old daughter making you a cake. Like, it's definitely, I don't know. I'm probably not doing I agree with you. I met your out there comment with one of my own. Like, it's that good. It is really, really, really good. And here I am, I'm not even experiencing any of these, like, hey, because a lot of the message has been, it's really, really good, but hey, we've got these 4 or 5 things that we may need to get. I'm not seeing any of it. I'm just not. And I'm not trying to say that like, I'm pretty sure it was there, and maybe it's still there in 14.1.3. I'm just not personally seeing it. So that's why, if anybody wants to give me grief about my Shogun series on X with these 2 to 3 hour long videos, that is the reason why I'm not cutting these things up. That's the reason why. Like, after last night, I was like, no, I'm just going to put the whole thing out there. I'm not going to try to cut this thing up.
Well, JC, we're nearing rush hour time in Houston. It's about 3:30 where you are. We're gonna let you go soon. Matt and I are gonna geek out about some AI things and a little more Tesla stuff. It's been great having you. JC is a creator here on YouTube, but also on X. Thanks for people for reposting the stream. Check him out. His handle is pretty long. You might have to go to the brand new X handle marketplace once they open it up for other people. But go check him out. John CHR for John Christopher, 0811 7285.
And I have no clue what that number even means. It's the one they assigned. It's like joining the Marine Corps. It was the serial number they gave me.
Well, okay. I like it. You're a really good dude. Glad for all the content that you're sharing on X and sharing the perspective on how Tesla and self-driving hits different people, the uninitiated in the Houston area. You've had oil execs in your car experience self-driving, from Germany or whatever. Just had no idea whatsoever that Tesla could do this. They thought their Mercedes had, level 3 self-driving, world-class German engineering, but it comes zero close to, what Mercedes is doing. Like, Mercedes is not even on the playing field. They're warming up somewhere.
Yeah, it's not even apples and oranges. They're not even the same fruit. One's not even a fruit. And Bradford, I wanted to say to you that thank you. I wanted everybody to, Bradford was one of the people that let me ride in Robotaxi with him in Austin. So I want to personally thank Bradford for that. That was an amazing experience there. So not just for bringing me on your program and putting my 18-digit X account name over there for everybody. So I appreciate that. But I just wanted to say that publicly as well, too. So Bradford's a great dude. I mean, he didn't have to do that. He could have taken anybody on a ride in the Robotaxi, and he let me ride along. And we did a Waymo ride, too.
Yeah, so we took the Robotaxi to the HEB, but some rain started and Robotaxi turned off. It started a downpour and we hailed a Waymo, got in the Waymo at the HEB, and the Waymo started and it was downpouring and the Waymo bailed. It bailed. Like, it has LiDAR. Oh, it's got LiDAR. Oh, and that's all you need is LiDAR in addition to everything. Yep. The Waymo bailed. It hung out in the parking lot of the HEB. Once it got to the street, ended up bailing 2 more times. Once in the parking lot, another time it just stopped in the middle of the street, didn't even turn on its hazards. But as you at the time rightly pointed out, it got us to our destination. And Tesla later showed that they could do the same in heavy rain. So it got us to the destination, and that was a fun adventure. And what was interesting was I went back to HEB and there was an accident on the same road that we started on right next to the HEB. So like Tesla was turning off their network, maybe for safety reasons. And we saw 2 human drivers get into an accident. Anything to add, JC, yeah. Or did we lose you?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
The only other thing I would say is the music was great. We had some rave music. I can't remember exactly what the song. Bradford picked it out.
Tsunami. We found it played Tsunami for us.
Yeah, it was some kind of house party music. That's right. It was, because hey, we're going through a tsunami. Might as well play Tsunami. So we had some nice house party music going on. No, but it was a fun experience. So yeah, it was great to be able to experience Robotaxi and then immediately experience Waymo, and see, like you hit it on the head, Bradford. At the end of the day, It got us from HEB back to the hotel. But man, it was a little bit of an adventure in between. But yeah, I you know, the trajectory of robotaxi though is just, especially with version 14. I am so confident, Bradford. It's yeah, I think they ought to start. This is just me personally. Again, and this is less than 24 hours with it, but I have not seen anything why this wouldn't be a wide release.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Thanks again, JC. With that, we're going to say bye for now, but everyone else stick with us. Matt and I are going to geek out on some other things. But
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, JC.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Bradford. Bye-bye.
So, for those of you who don't know, we're actually streaming on Farzad's channel right now too. He stepped in as guest host last week. Was very gracious to let us stream on his channel as well. And it's become quite fashionable lately to dunk on Farzad about his takes on Cybercab. So I thought we could take the opportunity with him not here to defend himself, to dunk on him on his own stream, since we got the kind of keys to the kingdom right here. So
I like it.
Farzad's been claiming Cybercab doesn't need any pedals, will need pedals and a steering wheel when it initially ships. What's your take on that? And I think I know what you were going to say based on this conversation we just had with JC.
Well,
but how dumb is Farzad is what I'm trying to get at.
I'm a bit on Farzad's side. So right now there's a federal
okay.
motor vehicle safety standards, and what they limit manufacturers or companies to is you're allowed to field a fully autonomous vehicle up to 2,500 without a steering wheel and pedal. So unless that gets changed for Tesla and or Waymo in the next 6 months or so, Tesla is going to be limited to making 2,500 Cybercabs. Now, the capacity for Cybercab, Elon has told us, is going to be in excess of 1 million per year from Giga Texas alone. So you have capacity of 1 million and versus 2,500. So let me put it back on you, Matt. What's Tesla going to do about that?
Well, so the simple answer, like, obviously, I think everyone understands that you can put a steering wheel and pedals on a Cybercab and have that, be a workaround. The question is, how firm is this hard limit? Someone in the comments here is saying the companies can request an exemption and go over the 2,500. So the question in my mind is, okay, what's more feasible, and if they're going to request an exemption, maybe Elon shouldn't have called Sean Duffy dummy today. Just one thought, but I don't know if you saw that, but I guess
they may not bode well for that 2,500 limit changing if that happened today.
Well, this was actually related to the Jared Isaacman nomination. Apparently, It's come out that Sean Duffy's been one of the voices saying that Isaacman shouldn't get the nod, and he actually wanted to pull NASA into the Department of Transportation, which just sounds like a terrible idea to me. So Elon just responded and said Sean dummy, I think it was. So yeah, Elon's probably not getting favorable treatment, maybe treading a little too tight of a line. At the same time, I do agree with him. That's a ridiculous policy. But that said, like,
I'm with Farzad. I think Tesla should have some kind of plan to put steering wheel and pedals, provided they're steer by wire and brake by wire. Now, they already have steer by wire for Cybertruck, but they haven't created that yet for any of their vehicles as far as brake by wire. And the reason I mention that is so, like, if you have if you want to put it in a robotaxi fleet, then you could turn off the steering wheel and brakes as far as allowing it to impact the vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that the Cybercab would have been built that way or designed that way from the beginning, since you don't need those physical inputs like at all. So I would assume that they have that steer by wire capability bare minimum. Now maybe the brake by wire they don't, but they would just be handling that the same way they always do, and you can just not have a brake and it would be able to handle that, or brake pedal I should say, and it would be able to handle that. So I don't know. I mean, to some extent, I think this is kind of an interesting logistics question of like exactly how are they going to handle it. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't think it really is going to impact the wide rollout one way or the other. Like, sure, it'd be slightly more optimal if they didn't need to have a steering wheel and brake pedal. But like worst case scenario, they just have a temporary fix where they have those for the Cybercab. They don't get used for the most part, and then in a year or two, they figure out how to get around these regulations and remove them. So, like, for my finance modeling mind, I'm like, does this impact the ramp or the quantity of vehicles that we'd have at say Q3 2026 or any point along the ramp? And I don't think it does. Like maybe in the very beginning, they might make a couple decisions one way or the other. But I think when you start talking about scale of the ramp, I actually think this doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess that was a pretty uneventful. So you agree with Farzad, and I say it doesn't matter. So this dunking on Farzad thing did not go well. Like
so I think it. I think it matters as far as them utilizing Giga Texas. As soon as the Cybercab's ready, I would want them to be pumping out those vehicles.
Well, but
maybe they have an affordable model. I don't think you want to create another model. So like maybe they have an affordable model that they can run on the Cybercab line. But I think it'd be a mistake for them to add another model unless they don't think they can deploy, a million Cybercabs at once to the network. Like, maybe they do want to get other uses out of that line.
Well, but if you can like get around the regulations just by having a steering wheel and a pedal, then you can still ramp the line. So this is where I think it doesn't really matter.
Well, people are saying, Matt, the people are against Farzad and saying Farzad's dumb for thinking this or whatever. They're saying Tesla shouldn't do it. So they should not put a steering wheel and pedal in the Cybercab as a temporary measure and let that factory like sit idle once they make 2,500 vehicles.
I think those people are dumb. I think that's a ridiculous take.
Yeah. All right. So we're in agreement there. There's been some news this week. One was with Heron Power with Drew Baglino, but there was another one. What was the other big one?
I think you were going to talk about the AI efficiency, the compute efficiency. There was a pretty interesting write-up that we were going to talk about, or you said that you were going to talk about.
For sure. So we're getting a lot of value out of AI, and there was a post, maybe we could bring it up, where they said that each new major model that was coming out was up to 10x more efficient than the other one, and that the previous models amounted to creating a lot of waste. And I've noticed a huge difference with the newer models that have come out. We're deploying them in our business. And this really big claim was made that essentially a lot of the other compute was wasted. Now Matt's smiling. I think we're going to interrupt the stream here. Matt is so bad on dunking on me that he ended up agreeing with me. I'm sorry that my argument is too logical.
I didn't say I agreed with him necessarily. I said it's irrelevant. I think you agreed with him, but I think Farzad. No matter how you cut it, I think Farzad gets the W here.
Wow.
Which it pains me to say that.
Okay. So, all right. So here it is. massive efficiency gains and optimization will continue to propel the economics of AI usage. Numbers are staggering. It's not just hardware, the models, or software. It's also efficiency of usage. And what they show is these order of magnitude drops in how much is wasted, the cost of the cheapest models dropping. So cost being driven down is a huge motivator. We're finding the cost of inference and is very compelling for us to use it in our business. Matt, you're not as geeked out as I am about AI, but
that's not true. I just made one cheeky comment to you in a DM, and you're like, "Well, why do you hate AI?" Like, no, it's just I had a bad experience with Grok hallucinating, so I made a post about it. I won't kind of revisit it here, but no, I am like I'm actually in all seriousness pretty much just as geeked out and jazzed up by this as you are. The one thing in that article, I'd encourage people to actually go and check it out. It's one of the craziest charts I've ever seen because it's a logarithmic scale that essentially shows the cost per token over time with these models, and like the declines just on a linear level are so staggering. But then when you realize that it's actually a log chart, like, and the axis is like it's like, okay, this is actually mind blowing. How much more efficient these models and the entire architecture is really becoming, while at the same time delivering better results. So like this is, like Kathy Wood talks all the time about like, AI and technology in general being deflationary and like, and like it, I think we're somewhat numb to that. But when you look at that chart, it's like, yeah, that is going to be massively deflationary to, I think a lot of different businesses. I saw somebody else had a post on here, and I forget who this quote is attributed to. So I kind of I apologize for that, but it was a well-known investor basically saying, like, there's basically no companies that should be operating like they are today in the year 2040. So if you think of like all the different processes that like a large corporation has, pretty much none of those functions should be done the way that they are by 2040, and probably a lot sooner than that. I just think that how capable these tools that like, it feels like a gift. These tools that we've developed, like they should radically, like the implication of them is that you should radically transform the way you're doing everything with your business, and that's going to be like painful and require a lot of change to really embrace it. But I think if you don't do that as a business, I do believe you're going to get run over. So yeah, no, I'm very much on this AI bandwagon with you. I think even bandwagon it's not like the right term because everyone's hyped about AI, but I think it's like nobody knows what that actually means, or people mean different things when they say that. So I try to be very specific with like, what am I bullish about? And I think my little thing where you and I had a slight disagreement was like LLMs. They can hallucinate, and they've got a lot better at reducing the hallucinations, but having some, I think we need to get better at harnessing deterministic processes with the LLMs to get like the correct output that you really need.
Yeah. So what Matt is referring to is, right now with AI, it's probabilistic, and you can get multiple different answers. Like, you do not want to ask it about facts unless it's like searching. It's allowed to search and look for what the commonly believed facts are. And I know, truth is under debate and all this stuff, but when you allow these models to search for facts, then it's going to come back with much more accurate and truthful answers. So you asked it for like some wild fact, and it maybe you could tell the audience what it came back with.
So I was just using Grok in my car with my daughter, and I just asked it to tell us an epic fact. So maybe that was where I went wrong, that I'm kind of leading, like epic can be construed as being like untrue. And so, but it came back and said, that woolly mammoth bones were first discovered by the ancient Romans in what is now modern day Kentucky. And I was just like, what? Like, that's not true. And then, Grok with like the like spunky voice is like, sorry, we all have like brain farts sometimes, me, including me. My daughter was just like, this is so dumb. Like, what is this thing? So that was the hallucination that it made there.
Yeah. And when they're in voice mode, they generally are not in search mode. You can force them to search for answers when they're in voice mode, but typically they're not. So you got to be careful. So let's bring it back here, Matt. So we hired a full-time developer to use agentic AI to implement automation in our business. And the very first project he created ended up saving you 30 minutes to an hour per week. And it took him a day initially, but he's probably spent, maybe one more day on that. And effectively, he spent 16 hours, and it's going to save you maybe 150 hours over 3 years.
Yeah.
What do you think about all that?
Well, it, like that's why I am such a believer, because like we're seeing it like day in and day out. We're seeing how fast the progress is, and like we're getting a better product for our clients because it's less prone to errors and things like that. I'm able to stay in meetings long, because this used to take me like quite a long time every single Monday morning, but now I can jump on a meeting with you and stay there longer, because it will take me like 2 minutes to run the process, and then we've got some other issues with fidelity that are driving me insane that I've got to get on the phone to call for them.
To be clear, we use AI to program the solution, and the process is actually deterministic. Yes. So it's no longer probabilistic. So I think one of the keys with automating AI is to make things deterministic. So like Lemonade's using AI with customers, but they make it so that it's deterministic in figuring out what the context is, what does it need to do. It's not using probabilistic AI solutions there. So there's a way with AI to funnel it down to like the deterministic answer or process. You like it when I do that, don't you?
It actually reminds me of a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, but I probably shouldn't go there now.
Let's hear it.
No, it's probably not good for a family friendly cast. Right. Yeah, so where I was gonna go with that was a little bit of a tangent, but like the broader theme that we're talking about here is which companies are actually harnessing these new tools and like pushing the ball forward. There was a new report by or a white paper, I think, that DeepSeek published about how if you're actually trying to understand like what's written in a PDF document, rather than just like using OCR and kind of translating that and then like bug fixing it, they found that they got a lot better results if they just look at a string of pixels and try to like guess what that's saying essentially, and then put that together. So they're getting more efficient results and better results from seeing it that way. Shai Winiger, the co-founder of Lemonade, is like, oh yeah, we found that out too, like several months ago. So like they've like
over a year ago, I think.
Was it over a year ago?
Yeah.
So like this is just a company that is just like I'm so excited about, because they're like having these novel breakthroughs like this, just because they're trying to figure out how to make their own business more like efficient and handle their own processes better. And so they're coming up with these like really amazing breakthroughs. Not to mention like all these deterministic processes that they have. They're figuring out how to like marry LLMs to those to get like a nice customer experience while maintaining the integrity of their process, which is super important for a highly regulated insurance company. So like they to me are like the North Star of what a company should be doing in terms of implementing AI, because they're doing it on like the top end of their business with like better quoting for their customers, client customer relationship, like answering emails, all that sort of stuff. It has a direct impact on revenue, but then they're also unleashing it on their overhead, all their operating expenses. So it's going to enable them to reach a lot larger scale with very low costs. And so like that is, I just get really inspired by seeing how aggressive they're pushing into this, because I think they really are the blueprint for what companies should be doing, back to my comment a while earlier that like what companies are doing today is like you absolutely should not be doing that in 2040 or you'll be dead. So that's what I like. I honestly just get really inspired by looking at what they're doing and try to, okay, how can we try to do something close to to what they're doing? Yeah.
We got a few things, but it's nothing close. Like they have an army of rock stars that are, fully utilizing agentic AI for programming. We have one that's doing it. I'm doing some of it as well, but not for programming. So OCR, I'll just give a little, pro tip for people who are listening. If you're in a business that uses OCR, one thing you can do, like the OCRs aren't necessarily like 100% accurate. So I had this idea of taking the output of the OCR and telling an LLM, giving it to the LLM. LLMs are great at figuring out context. So I give it to the LLM and say, hey, this is the output of an OCR that was from something or other. So I might say it was from a call, or and it's handwritten, and some of the words are probably wrong. I want you to avoid adding more words to this document, but just correct the words that you think are wrong, that don't make sense. And it did a great job of that. So like you can add an LLM to a process to just fix it, make it a little more accurate.
Yeah, there's a lot of little processes like that if you've got like some annoying part of your job that's repetitive and boring, I would just encourage you to try unleashing some AI tools on it and just try to get creative and see if it helps you. One other thing we didn't even have on our agenda, and we haven't had a chance to talk about yet. Lemonade has some access to the Tesla API to be able to give better pricing to Tesla customers. Pretty big news, and I think it could be foreshadowing some other additional opportunities that they might have. Maybe there's a bit of wishful thinking, but in terms of being a go-to insurer for anyone with FSD. So you were out when that news dropped on Friday. What were your thoughts when you saw Shai tweet that?
I think it's exciting. So with the Tesla API, what it can do for Lemonade is it can tell Lemonade exactly the mileage of the car. So one of the reasons why Lemonade is forced to use a telematics computer that they have, like the person who's insured, they have to install that into their car. They got to mount it to their car. So you got to make the device, you got to ship it, it's got to be installed correctly, and it's a little bit of a pain. Now, with the Tesla API, it can give them the same mileage information that the state regulators require. So you can't just like approximate it. It needs to be very accurate. So Shai is going to be using that for Tesla customers who want to be insured on a per mile basis. Now, I'm hoping access to the API will give them comfort to maybe expand that to more customers than just the pay per mile insurance customers. I think there are a lot of people who drive less than 8,000 miles a year. So like, I think the average in the US might be something like 11 or 12,000, but there are a lot of people who are less than that. A lot of insurers will tailor the policy to the miles that you state, but your mileage might even be significantly less than that. So I think these per mile policies help people out. Also, like not having to pay upfront, like $1,000 up front for the next 6 months, like that can be pretty onerous for your average American who's paycheck to paycheck or struggling to pay their bills. So there is a market for pay per mile, but I think it's a little limited right now. And I'm hopeful that Lemonade can use the API to, offer discounts to Tesla owners who use FSD. So
Yeah.
Shai talked about. He said, "Hey Elon, I don't know if we have that post ready, but hey Elon, yeah, I'm willing to insure FSD miles for nearly free. Let's make a deal. Let's figure something out." That would be really exciting, and I hope that expands to more Lemonade customers. Well, one, because I am a Lemonade customer. Take that.
I'm a Lemonade home customer, but that's not pay per mile. It's unfortunate. Come on, expand.
Paper stud.
Yeah, so I mean, there's Tesla does self-insure for their robotaxi fleet. So, for example, they're expanding to New York and to Florida. Those are two states where they don't offer Tesla insurance currently, but they do have a Tesla entity operating as the insurance, the legally required kind of insurance agent, or not agent, the insurance coverer, I guess, for their fleet there. So Tesla, certainly has the balance sheet to handle this on their own. But for like the robotaxi customers, but there's clearly an opportunity here for this to expand to just other customers, like normal Tesla owners that want to save some money. And I think this would be a win-win. And I mean, thinking about trying to incentivize, if you can offer a significantly lower insurance rate, I mean, that might save you $100 a month or $70 a month. And if FSD is only $99 a month, well, all of a sudden that math starts to look pretty compelling. So I think this is something that would actually be really in Tesla's interest to explore. And certainly I'm biased because I'm an investor in both, but I definitely think this would be a big win and just makes sense for the customers and for both companies.
I wonder if it can get to the point where, FSD is so safe that effectively it pays your $99 a month with a lower insurance rate completely. That would be really exciting and compelling for people, and definitely something Tesla should advertise.
No, only advertise proxy votes.
No.
That's all I want. Just proxy votes.
All right. So he's Matt Smith. I'm Bradford Ferguson. We didn't talk about Heron Power. Maybe we should cut a separate video about that. Got some really good thoughts
TLDR,
on that.
it's good. It'll lead to some more efficiency. Yeah, we'll do a separate video, so watch out for that.
Yeah, thanks to Farzad for letting us simul stream this on his channel. And we're with Rebellionaire. You can check us out at rebellionaire.com. And with that, I'm going to say bye for now.
Bye-bye.